Hello everyone, a very good morning, good afternoon and good evening to all. Myself Vaibhav. In today's session of automated trading, we are going to continue to work with the awesome oscillator along with the AC2 and to the setup we will be adding the EMA envelope as well to further optimize our algorithm. I hope by now you are well aware with the awesome oscillator's technical functionality, and here is the acceleration deceleration oscillator, then the ATR being used for determining the buy and sell price. On top of that we are going to add the EMA envelope, and is going to be drawn using the moving average price, and to that moving average price we will be adding the deviation of 0.1%, and then the envelope will be created to give us a better idea of the trend, and also when to go for a trade on and when to avoid and simply sit on the sidelines. Before we go into the details, there is a standard disclaimer, and I would again like to remind you that this is simply a tutorial session and no claim is being made regarding the profitability or otherwise of the algorithms which we will be developing during the session. Suppose if any of you want to use any of the algorithms developed in the webinar session, I would recommend that you do extensive trial runs for many months and maybe even years to make sure that the algorithms are working fine, and then let them run on the demo account for a good enough time. And of course, nothing in the webinar is to be constructed as an advice to trade or for any particular setup. Now let us go back to the charts here. Till yesterday we were working with the awesome oscillator and the AC2. Let me zoom in. We will increase the zoom. Okay, now the values will be better visible. So here the underlying design has been that we want to execute the sell trade when the awesome oscillator's negative values are falling and when the awesome oscillator's positive values are rising on the 4 hours, and to determine the fresh entry and the exit we were simply relying on this AC2 when the momentum was shifting from bearish to bullish while these positive values are rising. We were placing the buy trade, and when the awesome oscillator values are falling and the momentum shifts from bullish to bearish, we were looking for the sell trade. What we are going to do in today's session is that we are bringing in these EMA envelopes. So here you can see these are default settings. We have not made any changes. We are simply adding the EMA envelope of 14 time period with standard deviation at 0.1. Suppose if you want to change the values, you can make any changes as per your need. You can make it 10, you can make it 20, 50, whatever suits your purpose, and whichever combination you think will be more profitable. And to optimize our entry and exit, so see here we want our trade to happen only when these are initial hours, initial momentum change on the longer time frame after due consolidation, and we don't want the algorithm to execute the trades when significant up move has already happened. We want the algorithm to go into a consolidation phase rather than continuing to look for a fresh trading opportunity. For that we will be bringing in two more conditions. We want last 8 hours, that is the last candle and the candle prior to that. So we will be using the historical candles to determine that the candle high should be above the lower band of this EMA envelope. So what that will mean is that it should be just the start of the fall, and after fall has happened, after the significant downward move has already happened, the algorithm won't be executing the trade only during first 8 hours after this high has been made above the lower band, the sale trade will happen, and then the orders will stop executing, even if later on the trend change is there. Suppose the momentum again comes back in the bullish phase and again it goes into a bearish phase. Even in such times, our setup, our algorithm will be overlooking, and it won't execute the trades. So here the EMA envelope has been set on the 4 hourly time frame, but one difficulty is that if we use the two candles of the 4 hourly blocks, then we have to wait full 4 hours after for the candle to close. So instead of keeping this candle high on the 4 hours, we will be utilizing the last 8 hours values on the hourly candle. So suppose if in last 8 hours any of the candle high is above this lower band of EMA value, EMA envelope, then also the trading will happen. And similarly for the buy trade, we will want the candle low for last 8 hours to be below the upper band of this EMA envelope, and then only during next 7 to 8 hours the trading will happen. So that is the basic logic behind this. And also we will want to ensure that the candle close is not above the high band for the sell trade, and candle close should not be below the low band for the buy trade. So we want to make sure that the momentum is on our side, so the selling will happen only when the candle close is below the upper band, and buying will happen only when the candle close is above the lower band. So we will add this condition for today's setup. So let's get working. This is the setup so far. The setup has been fairly simple. We had completed it yesterday. So just a brief overview of what we have done. This is a standard instrument subscription. The position amount has been set at 0. The maximum oscillators values defined for 4 hourly time frame with shift 1, shift 2. Then we got the AC2 to determine the trend change from bearish to bullish, or from bullish to bearish. Then we got this ATR to place the order at defined ATR range and the historical candle to make sure that there is no significant deviation in the current value from the candle close of last hour. Then these are the calculations for determining the buy execution price and the sell execution price, and here the order validity time. Then these are the necessary conditions. Here we want the last tick bid to be less than the candle high, negative value should be falling, and just now in the last candle closing time the value should have turned negative and prior value should have been in positive territory, and a similar setup is required for the sell side. Only difference is now this time around we want the positive values to be rising, and the last candle's AC2 value should be rising, whereas the candle prior to that was in negative territory, and then the tick bid should be greater than the candle low. Then our order will go through. Now we bring in the EMA envelope block, and also the historical candle blocks, and this time we will need multiple historical candles. So we will bring in the cluster of candles. We will define at 8. We want the MA here, EMA envelope, and EMA envelope is here. Now we need components. We want info. So there is get historical candle only for one candle, and get historical candles this is for multiple candles, and we will also need the loop viewer to see the data. We want loop viewer. So I think here is the loop viewer. So the array of data we will put in the last 8 hours candle data, and then we will shift for the candle high and low, and then compare it to the EMA envelope bands. So here we are. We change this to 4 hours. So let us change it to 4 hours. Shift. No, we are not going to do any changes, and these values will remain as it is. Okay. And now coming to the lower side, we want so here we take these values and the current pointer loop should continue. Okay, so here is, and now we want it to be hourly. We will be using the data for last 8 hours, so we want the candles to be hourly, and then the shift will stay at 0. Candle amount will be 8. We want the 8 candles to be tried of 1 hour each, and then we put this array of data here, and we define it as high low candle HLC. Okay, so now we are done with this data gathering exercise. Now we will need to do adding of the if conditions for the orders to get executed, and here we have all this candle high, candle open, candle low, all this data is here. So let us again go back to bringing in the if blocks, and then we will add these if blocks to so here we are. Now what we need the for the buy side we need the HLC's candle low. Here is the HLC's candle low to be below the, so here is, I will again explain to you. We want the candle low for last 8 hours to be less than the upper band of the EMA envelope for the buy trade, and for the sell trade we want the candle high to be above the lower band for the sell trade to execute. So the candle low must be below the high band for the sell trade, and the candle close, last hour's candle close. So we want the candle 21's close to created variable. So here is the candle 21's close. Candle 21's close should be above the lower band. Candle 21 is a historical candle defined for hourly time frame. So here we are, and we have added these two conditions. We want the candle low to be less than the higher band, and then the candle close should be above the lower band. And here we have defined it for 4 hours. Standard deviation remains at 0.1%, and the time period is 14. So let us add these two conditions to the buy side, then we will add the inverse conditions for the sell side, and then we will do the test run. So here we are, and now and this is the tick bid. We will not make any changes to the prior condition. So the tick bid should be should be greater than the candle low. So we keep as it is. We just stop this flow and direct it to the second condition. It should be greater. So here we have changed the flow, and now these again two conditions will be checked prior to execution of the order, and then the order will be placed if the conditions are fulfilled. So we want the candle close to be above the lower band. Candle low is less than the high band. Okay. Now let us add the conditions to the sell setup. We will again bring in two if blocks. Requirement is now that last candle close should be below the high band, so we bring in the candle 21's close should be below the high band for the sell trade, and the so here is candle close below the high band, and we want now coming to the HLC. Here the requirement is that the candle high should be above the lower band. So we take this low band 41. Okay, so the candle high should have been above the low band of the EMA envelope. Now we are almost done. We add these two blocks to our algorithm on the sell side, and then we will do the test run to see what kind of changes will happen to our order execution. We stop this flow. Negative value should be less than 0. We directed it here, and now candle high should be above the lower band. Okay, candle high is greater than the lower band, so we are done. We will now export this file for the test run. Let us save it. We save the file. It's taking too much time to respond again. Something I think is wrong. Let us again try to save the file. So here, because of some issue, I think we won't be able to do the test run for the time lag. And let me try if we can save the export the file straight away. No, we can't. So we are kind of stuck. So that's it for today's session. If any of you have any query or any idea to share, you can write it in the comment section, and I would be more than happy to take the discussion forward. It's a Friday now. We will be back again on Monday with a fresh setup. So till then, have excellent time ahead. Enjoy the weekend. See you on Monday. Goodbye.